Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, my name is Audrey Hope and I post acting videos. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to start your acting career step by step, every single thing you need to know to really get your career started from absolutely nothing. These are not only the steps that I took, but the steps I wish I took and in the order I wish I took them in. So let's just get into it. First things first, you need to find your hub. So because of COVID, a lot of things are virtual, but you still do need to know like where you are in the acting world. So there's several different acting hubs. There's the main hubs, which are LA, New York, and Atlanta. Then there's smaller acting hubs like Chicago and Charlotte, North Carolina. They're all over the place. So most places do have a smaller hub for film in every state. Pretty much everyone can get to one of these smaller hubs from any state, anywhere. So that is your first assignment, is to find your hub. So see what you're closest to, LA, New York, Atlanta, and then also look into your closest hub. So you can do this by just searching casting calls in this area. Think about, if you live in a small town like I do, think about the biggest city near you. The biggest city that you can possibly get to, and then research like casting calls and agencies in that area to just see if it is an acting hub. If not, do not fret. You can still pursue your acting career from anywhere. Agents and managers are getting way more open to the fact of people not having to live in a certain hub. That's your first step, is to find your hub, because a lot channels from there. So once you find your hub, you want to look into acting classes. Now, if you can't find a hub near you, I recommend finding Zoom classes, but if you did find a hub near you, research acting classes in that hub, because there's acting classes everywhere. Zoom classes are great, but I really am a big believer in in-person classes, because I feel like being in person is so much more beneficial. But if you can't, do not worry. The reason I say to start with acting classes first is because, number one, I really wish I had, and number two, you make a ton of connections, and you also need to have training on your resume. A lot of agencies won't take people unless you have around 2 years of training under your belt. So if you're even thinking about starting acting, my first thing is get into classes, see if you even like it, and start getting that training and experience under your belt, because we can't control a lot of things in the acting industry, but we can control how experienced we are and how trained we are, and that will really help you get an agent and jobs down the line. So I really recommend getting in classes. I think that you should get into classes because you can also find a mentor. I think having a mentor is super important. Your acting coach can be your mentor. They can try to like help you find agents and headshots and managers in your area and give you advice on what steps to take. They also are great for being like, hey, when do you think I'm ready for this and ready for that? And also, I kind of jumped the gun and got an agent before I had been really trained, and I look back and I really regret it, because I auditioned for some huge casting directors when I was not at my best or even trained. It's called being too green. It's when an actor has not had enough training, and they have not called me back in a while. So I wish I had auditioned for them now after I've been trained for a while, and I've definitely improved a lot. But they saw me when I was a little too green, so it might be a while until they give me another chance. So first impressions are important. You really want to be at your best when you are auditioning. So I recommend just getting in classes immediately. So after you find your acting class, look into getting headshots. Headshots are like arguably the most important thing in the entire film industry, which sounds silly, but because everything's virtual, headshots are the first thing that an agent, manager, or casting director sees of you, so it's important that they're great. I would talk to your acting coach and see who they recommend, and then also do your own research. I will link some down below that I love and I've used. Now, a lot of the really, really good ones are in LA and New York, but they do travel. So you need to be on the eye out for, if they're traveling to a city near you, that you can travel to and get headshots, because headshots are gold. You know, they are the door to all of the opportunities in the world. After you get a headshot, I really recommend trying to get a demo reel. I don't recommend getting a demo reel right off the bat. I recommend, training a little bit, and usually your acting coach will tell you if they think you're ready or not. Now, you can get a demo reel in a few different ways. You can either be cast in something and use that footage. That's very difficult, because not only is it hard to get cast in something, but it's also hard to get the footage. So that's one option. The second option is, if your studio does demo reel filmings, look into them. There's also companies that film demo reels for people. I know you might be like, well, that's not really a demo reel. Trust me, it works. They don't care. They just want to see your acting. So look into, you know, people that film demo reels for people. My studio films demo reels for people. It makes a world of difference. It really does. Some agents aren't interested in you unless you have a demo reel. And when you do have a demo reel, when your agent submits you to something, it brings you to the very top. Anyone that has a demo reel is above people that don't. So having a demo reel puts you out in front of more people, and they're more likely to ask you to audition if they already know you're a good actor and just watch like 30 seconds of your demo reel. Because if they don't know that you're good, they might not be as inclined to ask you to audition because they hate wasting their time. Another way you can get a demo reel is work on non-union or student films. I think this is a great way because they need actors and you need footage, so a lot of times you guys can help each other. I would recommend finding a college that has a film department near you. So research all the colleges near you, see which ones have a film department, and start reaching out to them. I promise it works. I've done it. Most actors do start in student films, and it's a great way to get footage and experience, and also to meet people, because those people that you're filming with are going on to be filmmakers. So having those connections is great, and they're going to remember the people that worked with them at the very beginning. You can also film your own demo reel. If you have a friend that's in the film industry or just someone that has a camera, you can try to film your own demo reel. But having a demo reel is important. As soon as I got a demo reel, I started being asked to audition for way bigger projects than I had ever gotten asked to audition for before. So having a demo reel has made a world of difference. And these steps kind of all overlap. After you've been in classes for a while, all of these steps kind of overlap. I also really recommend signing up for Actors Access. If I were to tell you to sign up for one website, it would be Actors Access. They're amazing. And I know it's like so hard to tell what's sketchy, what's not, but I promise Actors Access is the site that everyone uses. Once you get an agent, they will make you sign up for Actors Access, and they'll use that to submit you to projects. So you do have to pay, but I promise you it is not sketchy. It is the most legit acting site. I've gotten Summer I Turned Pretty, Stranger Things, Disney, all of those auditions through Actors Access. So on your Actors Access, you can put a headshot and a demo reel, and you fill out your resume. So if you've got a headshot and a demo reel and you've had some training to put on a resume, you've done some student films to put on a resume, you're looking really good. You're ahead of a lot of actors that are just starting out. So once you have all of those steps in place, you have a pretty good Actors Access package. And what you can do from there is you can submit yourself for projects. They will email you only projects that fit you and your demographic, and then you can then submit yourself. These are like paid acting jobs, but there are a lot of auditions that are strictly for agents. You don't even have access to seeing them, they do. And so your agent has your profile, and they submit it to people, and they then choose if they want to have you audition or not. And why I say having a demo reel is important is because, like I said, that brings your profile to the very top. Now, something that I just discovered that I think is really interesting and really helpful, if you're looking into getting an agent, I'd say you're ready if you've completed all these steps, is it's called Talent Link on Actors Access. If you follow Actors Access on Instagram, they post about it whenever it comes around. But it's basically where they take your Actors Access profile, which has all of your headshots, resume, and demo reel footage, which is all an agent would need, and they post it to all the agents and managers actively looking for people. So if you've decided I want an agent, I would recommend doing that first, because that's the easiest way for you to get an agent manager, because you can submit all day long, but that doesn't mean that that agent or manager is necessarily looking for someone, versus if you are just like a talent link that they send out to everyone, you know those people are actively looking to sign people. Definitely give the talent link thing a try. I've heard really good things from everyone that has something to say about it. And that's another reason why I really push the Actors Access thing, is because they also have the talent link, which is a great way to find an agent or manager. I have a whole video on how to find an agent. I made that before I found out about this talent link thing, but I have a lot of helpful tips in there. It's very difficult to get an agent, so you might want to check out that video because I have it in full detail. I would recommend, researching your hub and submitting to agencies that are local to you, because it's good to start with like a smaller agency in the beginning, and if you live in a, not as big of a hub, they would probably be more likely to sign you because you're local and you live there, and they get just as big of auditions. Because I used to think like the bigger the agency, the better the auditions, and yes, that's true to an extent, but also most of the time all agents get the same auditions. So as long as your agent is working hard for you, That's all that matters. Another thing I wanted to point out was a lot of people asked me, like, should I do extra work? You know, like, is it good to get that experience? Can you count it? You cannot count extra work on a professional acting resume. But, you know, in some instances, I think extra work can be great because you get to see how a set works, you get to meet people, but you do need to be careful. If it's like a TV show or something, if you're an extra in that and you're seen, you can be held back from getting a role in it later on if they've seen you in the background. So you do need to be really careful about that. I've done it before. I don't do it anymore. Your agent probably would discourage it, but if you don't have an agent yet, I would recommend, you know, you could do movie extra work, because by the time you have an agent or a manager, you know, that movie is going to be wrapped and you won't get auditions for it. But if we're talking about like Stranger Things or The Summer I Turned Pretty, those go on for years. So you're going to have an agent, you're going to have a manager, and you're going to be auditioning by then. And if you've been seen in the background in season 2, you know, you might not be able to get a speaking role later on. So that's the only thing I have to say about be leery of extra work. Another reason why I say getting into classes is so helpful is because also a lot of times, you know, paid projects that aren't, you know, SAG or huge go through acting studios to cast people. My acting studio has sent out things to me from casting directors saying, hey, we're looking for these people, like, do you have anyone that fits it? And I've booked something through my acting studio, a paid role. So you want to be in that mix of people. You know, they know people from this studio are good, so you already have a better reputation. The agency that I signed with has coaches that go to my acting studio, so they know, like, okay, people from here are really good, and they can go ask him, like, oh, is she a good actress? Should we sign her? And they'll say yes. And sometimes your acting coach will actually refer you. So it's really important to just have that community. I know it's so annoying, but who you know is everything. Not just because, you know, you can get connections and things from them, but because who you surround yourself with makes a really big difference, and it keeps you motivated, it keeps you on track, and I found it super important for me. But I hope that was helpful. If you take those steps, I promise you're going to be miles ahead of everyone else. I pretty much can promise you most actors are looking back wishing they did things in this order, and you will not regret it. I promise you. Follow these steps. You know, they obviously don't have to be in exact order, but it's mostly just important that you are training and you have a great headshot and the best demo reel you can, and you're on Actors Access and you're submitting yourself and looking for agents, and you know what your hub is and you capitalize on that, because sometimes it's good to be a big fish in a small pond. You definitely want to capitalize on that. But I really hope that was helpful. I have tons of other videos. If you are getting auditions, I have videos on how to, you know, film an audition, my tips, and just everything acting related. Definitely check out my channel. And if you guys have any questions, you can leave them down below or DM me on Instagram. I try to reply to everyone. But I appreciate every single one of you, and I seriously commend you guys all for doing this amount of research, because you are the people that are going to make it in the industry, because it is a hard industry, but also being business smart is a huge part of it. So I hope I can see all of you on set one day. It's really the dream, and I believe in every single one of you. And I will see you next Saturday.